Ayman Khan here for Seconds Out. Pleasure to be in the company of Robert McCracken here at Team GB headquarters in Sheffield. Rob, how's life treating you?
We are okay, not bad, thanks.
Good, great to hear. Obviously, you've got a lot of fighters who are preparing for the Worlds. Just talk me through about some of the talent and the expectations in terms of medals coming up to the Liverpool Worlds.
Yeah, it's brilliant to stage a World Championships in Liverpool. We've not had a World Championship for decades in the UK. I think it's a young team. We've got at least two Olympians that have come back recently, Charlie Davison and Chantal Reid, who boxed in Paris. So that's a real boost for the squad. They've been back a matter of weeks. So 3 years to go. Yeah, good opportunities for both of them to go through the experience of Paris. Yeah, some of the girls in the team have got real potential. Following alongside the men who have potential as well, but we'll need all of the 3 years in this cycle to develop the boxers. You know, it's such a high standard, the Olympic Games in boxing, and we need to get all the experiences that you can for the squad and the boxers, and give them all the opportunities that they need to go to qualify for LA and then try and win a medal. But certainly there is talent in the team. But you know, we're at the start of a 3-year running, 2 years till the qualifiers. So our aim is to use the World Championships to develop our boxers, and obviously do as well as we can and try and win as many medals as we can. But ultimately, you know, the Olympic Games is on the horizon. 3 years now, not 4, and it would be a great start to these 3 years with the experience of World Championships in the city of Liverpool.
Does the expectation change because it's on UK soil?
No, I think that, you know, we have got a young team, and you know, the experiences are ahead of them, not behind them, which is, you know, in some cases positive. Certainly with the men, that's for sure, and some experience with the women of the real Olympians in Charlie and in Chantal and Rosie Eckers, who's coming back into the programme, and you know, there's real good girls in that squad as well, and there's some role models amongst those girls. So yeah, often really optimistic with the women, and certainly with the men, real talented squad, young men with it all ahead of them, but lots of potential.
Let me highlight a couple of the fighters that I spoke to today. Lucy Kings-Wheatley, what's your expectation for her?
Yeah, Lucy's selected at 60 kilos. She's been out for a long time with an injury, best part of a year, but she's done fantastically well going to 2 tournaments recently. The last one was in Kazakhstan, which I attended, and she boxed really well, and you know, has got real potential in the cycle. But certainly at GB, we take one tournament at a time, and you know, the opportunities that are created by the calendar and by world boxing are going to be the ones with the most development. And if you look at the World Boxing Series over the last few months, it's been top level opposition. We've just been to Kazakhstan, Brazil before that, and you're boxing top level opposition, which will only develop you if you have the potential and the skill set and the drive. It will only develop you. And you know, we're looking forward to 2 years of that at world boxing events, so that the boxers who have the talent and potential can really come through and develop and box all the different styles that's out there in the world.
Speaking of styles, Demeji's certainly got a unique one. How do you kind of foster his unique style alongside making sure that judges like his style and gets the points and the victories he deserves?
Yeah, I think like we talk about some of the men, they're fairly new on the scene at the high level, and obviously Demeji's fairly new. We've got loads of drive, loads of talent, and loads of belief, and boxers like Demeji are the boxers that we've seen time and time again come through at GB boxing over the Olympic cycles. Very driven, very ambitious, and confident, believes in himself. You know, it's still a long road, and you know, there's a lot of tough competition, and you know, there's going to be some highs and lows, and some close losses, and some real good wins. But yeah, it's all part of the boxer's journey on the Olympic program, and you know, all of the boxers that were in Paris have had some wins and some losses at high level, and this is fairly normal in the Olympic boxing journeys.
Some have described him like Tyson Fury. Do you really like that?
Sorry?
Some have described him like Tyson Fury's style. Is he really like that?
Oh, Demeji?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Tyson's a fantastic fighter, isn't he? Demeji's in his infancy, really, compared to Tyson. But yeah, look, he's got loads of potential, and you'd be optimistic for Demeji to do really well in his career.
Isaac Ofer at heavyweight, he's had a lot of experience inspiring in terms of AJ and Dubois recently. How far can Isaac go?
He's got loads of talent. he's a talented boxer, but talent's not enough. Obviously, he's like all of the boxers really. They're going to these tournaments, these world boxing events, and you're for a very high level of standard. You're boxing, world champions and former Olympic champions as well. So the learning that they get and the development is crucial and is brilliant for them. So yeah, Isaac's part of a team of boxers that are going to those tournaments at the minute, and he's developing really well. Loads of potential, and really optimistic. With 3 years with somebody like Isaac Akell as well, you got a great opportunity with LA looking at you. So yeah, some really good signs with Isaac. He's very talented.
Let me ask you about some of the topics in the boxing world. First of all, the main thing being that Galal Yafai is recently come out that Ayman-Khan failed a drugs test, one has any drugs in the system for that fight, and is now being ordered. The fight's been ordered to a no contest, and an immediate rematch has been ordered alongside some rehabilitation things for Francisco to go into. Just your thoughts on that whole process?
Yeah, well, I just think it's terrible when people fail drug tests in really important fights, and also it's the dangers that they put upon the opponents. And Galal Yafai has had to go through, a final in Manata to get a shot at the world title. He's reigning Olympic champion, and he's fought somebody who's failed a doping test, which to me is unacceptable. Galal's had to go through 12 rounds with somebody who's got not just a significant, a massive advantage. It's not real and it's not fair. It's like putting a motor racing car in with a Ford Focus, because that's the difference with you take these stimulants and stuff and what goes into this sort of like organised sort of way of operating in pro boxing until somebody gets hurt. When's something going to be done about it? And that's my biggest concern, is what Galal had to go through in 12 rounds, which wasn't a fair fight, because Galal passed his tests and Rodriguez didn't. So yeah, I mean it's still ongoing. We're waiting to see what comes out of it, but certainly really disappointed for Galal to end up in that situation and to have to go through a fight with somebody who obviously failed his test afterwards. And the very least, Galal should be made the mandatory. He should be made the mandatory for the world title. The WB's interim belt. I'm aware that that's already been given back to him. But the reality is that what does Galal Yafai get out of this, having to go through 12 and he's somebody that failed his tests and Galal passed his test? So unacceptable, really, in the sport of boxing. And then somebody's going to get really hurt. And Galal probably did in that fight, to be honest. He had to take a lot of shots, which is unfair. It's because of what the opponent had in his system. Totally, not even unfair, just terrible, dreadful. And yeah, something's got to be done before somebody gets hurt in the sport of boxing. And they've got to have a look at it and say, we've got to do something about it. Because at the minute, nothing's changing. People keep failing tests. And, a year later, you see them boxing. So, what can you do about it?
I want to go direct with you. Could you tell during or after the fight when you watched it back that there was something amiss about it?
Yeah, it wasn't just me. I think everybody at the arena was like, that's not right. Look, it's for me. You fail. You've got what you've got in your system. It's a ridiculously unfair advantage, and also it gets your opponent in harm's way. So. They've got to do something about it, because someone's going to get hurt, and they'll have to go through 12 rounds of that with some who failed his doping test after the fight. And at the minute, there's people, there's communication. The board, I spoke to Robert Smith a couple of days ago. Obviously I spoke to Fan Smith matchroom, but yeah, for me, VADA, did their job. They tested both boxers, but how does somebody get in the ring with that in them? And obviously, I understand how difficult it is to test and how quick they can get the findings back and stuff, and that's another issue. But certainly, for the health of boxing, certainly for Galal, who's had to go through it. There's, I know other people have been caught before fights and other people after. I watched them. You see a fight in America not long ago where it was the same thing again. And it's just the advantage that the person who's taken, and they say adverse findings. It's just you've drug cheat. You've took stuff to give you an advantage, and and that's all there is to it.
The board are going to sanction the rematch.
No, I can't. Not in a million years. I couldn't see it already control sanctioning the rematch, and Galal Yafai should be made mandatory. Mandatory challenge for Sandoval, because obviously he beat Taraji, and that's the very least that should come Galal's way. What he's had to go through is diabolical, considering there was also when his last fight was a no contest. So yeah, it's I just think it's the right people have got to come together and just look at the world of boxing, professional boxing, and just like get the right things put in place that protect the fighters and don't allow this to happen. And I don't know about the testing because it's very difficult, with the time period between getting the findings and stuff, and there's costs and whatever. But yeah, certainly Galal Yafai, who's Olympic champion, has had to go through that. And on the night, it's all right. People saying, "Oh, he always fights like that. He don't fight like that."
Hypothetically, look, if the rematch was sanctioned, is there appetite between you and Galal for that rematch?
No, because why would you take a rematch when somebody's failed his testing after the bout? So that's not even a conversation. It's a fair question, but it's not even a conversation really. Look, Robert Smith's head of the board. They'll be working on what happens moving forward with it. But just and that's not just me. Everyone's saying it. They've got to do something about it because someone's going to get hurt, and it's and Galal Yafai's have to go through 12 rounds, and Galal Yafai should be at least made mandatory, which I would have presumed would happen because that's the logical thing to do.
Last topic I just want to discuss with you, Oleksandr Usyk fought Daniel Dubois, and it was a more emphatic victory than the first time round. What were your thoughts on that fight between the two?
Well, Usyk's a master boxer. Daniel Dubois did really, really well. He's done magnificently well, to be honest, over the last couple of years and 3 years, and he's had some really good wins. But Usyk's the more experienced, the more rounded fighter, and that showed on the night. And just a brilliant fighter. And Daniel Dubois, 97, he comes to them again. He's had a brilliant 3 or 4 years and achieved magnificent things. And he's a really good fighter. He's a top fighter moving forward. He's been a world heavyweight champion. I'm sure he can become another world heavyweight champion. But Usyk's just the best heavyweight in the world at the moment, and that's all there is to it. Fantastic fighter.
A lot of talk about a pre-fight party. It might have had a factor in that fight. Do you think it did?
I don't know, to be honest. I wouldn't have a clue. It just depends on what it was. Was it a gathering? Was it, did they have all their friends and family around, and or was it just had your mates around before you went off to the stadium? I don't know. I'm not up to speed on it, but look, whatever fighters do before the fight is up to them. At the end of the day, it's all that matters is in the ring, and obviously he's in with a master in Usyk, and Usyk won. And that's all there is to it. But Daniel's 27; he can come again.
A lot of people kind of throwing the quick word at him. Was it that too harsh of a thing for people to say about Daniel?
I just think everyone's got their own opinion. You're entitled to your own opinion in boxing. Yeah, it was a tough ask, wasn't it? Usyk was on the ball and in great shape, and was just one step ahead. But that happens in boxing at the top level. That happens, and it wasn't Daniel's night. And he'll only learn from it. He's 27, whereas Usyk's probably nearing the end of his great career. Daniel's probably got at least another 5 years in boxing if he wants it at the top, really.
Last question. Oleksandr Usyk said he's got 1 or 2 fights left, one of them being Tyson Fury, who's got a third slice at him. Joseph Parker's got an opportunity. A lot of people saying Moses Talma, obviously helping here, might be the one to defeat Oleksandr Usyk. Of the 3 there, who do you think has the real shot at doing it?
To be honest with you, nobody knows who's going to beat Usyk at the minute. No one's going to beat him in the next 12 months. Because like boxing, everybody, has their period, and you have to be careful how long you hang around, wear and tear and stuff. But Usyk's the number 1 in the world. He's a fantastic fighter. Moses Talma has got unbelievable potential moving forward. I'm pretty sure in the future he'll become world heavyweight champion. I've no doubts about it. As long as they take the right opportunities for him at the right time, which I'm sure they will. But he's phenomenal prospect, and I can't see how he can't go on and become a world heavyweight champion and change his and his family's lives. And and create great things, which you've seen Anthony Joshua do and Daniel Dubois do as well in Britain, and hopefully that'll be the same for Moses Zoom. I can't say how it won't be. He looks nailed on to become a world heavyweight champion. As long as they take the right fights at the right time.
Robert, pleasure. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All the best in the world.